Okay, we're in.
Yay! Just so you know, everybody, in the midst of all this chaos, I'm going to promise you there's still coffee in this mug. It's like, okay, so we're already off to a late start. Thank you, everybody, for joining in. In light of all of these trying times and this chaos, I know that you have lots and lots of questions for us. And trust me, we're getting lots and lots of new questions. So what I want to do is I want to introduce really briefly, I've got a little bit of my team here. I also have some of my team that's listening in. So perhaps if I've missed something, because every day that we come onto our computer, we've got a whole new set of questions and a whole new way of dealing with things, because we're dealing with multiple suppliers. So there is not going to be one hard, fast answer. I'm going to speak a little bit more to generalities. I don't want to get into carrier specific or supplier specific. If you do have any particular questions, you're very, very welcome to email us at deb.wiegers@wiegers.ca or call us. We do have a live reception still, and they can manage the call and the flow of the calls for us as well. So we do welcome that, because we're not going to be able to answer everything on today. So let's get rolling. I've got Matthew Hill on the right, so he's going to stick his hand in, because we're trying really hard to keep social distancing. And I've got Colton, who is going to, he was the guy between these two, got to set up. I got Renee in here. Renee is our group retirement gal, so we're not to talk a lot about benefits on the retirement side, but perhaps we have some time, because I know that's going to be another important area that people are looking to get answers to as well. So we're going to jump into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this in terms of the waves that we've been seeing these things come and approach us. So if you do have some questions, try and work it through the waves. And so what I mean by that is, let's start with number one. We are talking about the first thing when the coronavirus came out, everybody was talking about travel. And they wanted to know, what are those things that can happen on the travel? Well, let's flash forward, because a lot of those things are done, said, gone. The thing that you need to keep in mind is that if anybody was traveling post March 13th, I believe, then there is not going to be any insurance coverage in place. That is just what I would consider in my world a pre-existing condition. You knew what was going on. This was a situation. If you chose to travel after the fact, there is not going to be any travel coverage for you or your employees. The other thing that you need to be thinking about is potentially if we've got some business owners that are working abroad and they are maybe having difficulty getting home. So what would we do with them? There is going to be insurance companies, all of them are doing this. There's no hard answer. They're just saying that they're going to lax on the extension of the benefits for travel coverage, so that if you are stuck somewhere, whether you can't fly out, whether you're ill, the coverage, they will keep that intact for you. Now, in terms of provincial government, I'm not sure if anybody has an answer on that, Matt. I don't know, because I guess I'm thinking about the snowbirds that are getting beyond the 6 months, where the provincial government comes in play in terms of offering coverage. I haven't heard anything about them laxing on that.
I haven't heard that either.
Yeah, so we have some inquiries. Every day we get inquiries out, we bring them back, we share them with you in the audience. So that's all I want to say on the travel side. Let's get into what was the next stage. Well, everybody was going, oh my gosh, we don't know. I've been diagnosed. I don't know if I do. I'm just freaking out. I want to self-isolate. What are the scenarios? There's 4 scenarios that you want to keep in mind. Number one, the easy one, is if you've been diagnosed with the virus, it's a disability claim. So I'm speaking to the disability benefit, because that one was the biggest next question we had. What do I do if I am diagnosed? It's a disability claim. Medically, you can prove that you are going to be able to receive the benefit. Number 2, I phoned 811, I'm symptomatic, I'm not feeling very well, what do I do? You can put the application in for short-term disability. If it goes through and you're not sick, then you need to move over to the EI side of things. So again, keep in mind, short-term disability with the insurance companies is going to provide a benefit if you're not medically well, regardless of whether it's the virus or otherwise, it's intact, the benefit. Number 3, I've got no symptoms, but I don't want to go to work and I want to stay home. I'm sorry, but there's no short-term disability. You need to now work this out with your employer and talk about an arrangement to go remote. If they can't manage that, then you need to look at EI. So there's kind of a combo of, you know, what direction are we going, left, or are we going right on the short-term disability? If someone is going to EI to collect an income replacement, and then they become sick or symptomatic, you're just going to backtrack. You're going to go back to the short-term disability and submit the claim and get things rolling. The insurance companies have laxed on the provisions of the requirements to acknowledge a claim. So at the end of the day, what they're going to do is they're going to provide you a form that is an industry standard form. It's very straightforward, and you need to complete that. So it kind of looks like that, if anybody can see that. And that's what you're going to be submitting. Now, the thing that you want to be thinking about is, there we go, the attending physician's statement. Oh, we're taking a pause between, no. Oh, okay, we're just going to keep rolling. We're all new to this. So the other one that we're getting now is quarantine. So in quarantine, all the insurance companies are saying the same thing. If your office, someone was diagnosed with the virus and everybody's been sent home, government said you're home. It's not a short-term disability claim with the exception of the person that has the virus. The other employees, if you have to go home, again, this is where between you as the employer and the employees, you need to work out arrangements in terms of keeping the business rolling and keeping them busy. If you can't, then obviously you have to move to the EI side of things, or Services Canada, and then look to put an application in for EI. So that's the scenarios. That's the scenarios on the disability. Now, next wave, layoffs. What am I going to do, Debbie, if I have a layoff? There's a couple of ways that I'm sure that all of you are considering. You maybe have to go for a full layoff, because if you're a hair salon and they've said you're not doing business today, it's a full layoff. But it's temporary. So when you're doing that application, it is a temporary layoff. Again, that's going to move to the Services Canada side of things, unless you can arrange work remotely. If there's reduced hours, then you can still maintain coverage. But the employees need to know now that they're having reduced benefit coverage if you're looking at doing that arrangement. If you're going into a layoff, you do have a choice as an employer. You do have a choice to extend benefits. And this is where we kind of go, this is where you have to really pay attention to. One needs to talk to the other. If you're doing a layoff, you need to talk to your insurance carrier, because you need to make a decision if you're going to keep benefit coverage and extend it or terminate it. A trucking question came up on the travel side. Thank you, because it was in my notes. For people that are in essential services, truck drivers, we have a lot of them. You do have coverage. Don't worry about that. You haven't lost your coverage. Good question. So back to the layoffs. So if you're thinking that you have to do a layoff, you have to decide if you're going to extend benefits. And you might want to extend all the benefits. You might want to reduce your coverage. For example, because we're not able to go see a dentist, we've got some clients that are saying there's no sense us keeping the dental benefit. Let's terminate that for now, and we'll consider adding it back on later on. You can do that. So we would want to encourage, and I'm sure the employees are probably asking, if you do a layoff, it's really important that you have strong communication. So we've created at Wiegers what we call the layoff toolkit. You need to make sure that, okay, you're doing the termination, the paperwork's going through for EI. You need to communicate what you're going to or not going to do as it relates to benefits. So we have provided our clients with a letter that outlines these things. If you are extending the benefits, you need to define what the rules are regarding payment. So if there's a cost share in place, you need to decide. Are you going to take on the premium 100%, or are you going to retain the same cost share arrangement? And that's what most of my clients are doing. They're retaining the same cost share arrangement. Now, keep in mind, some benefits are going to drop. And the one in particular is disability. There's going to be an ability to extend benefits for life insurance, for health and dental, up to the time frame that you choose to want to extend those benefits. 2 months, 6 months, until everybody gets back to work. It's really your choice. If you have disability insurance, that's the benefit that changes. So some of my carriers or insurance suppliers are saying the day you do a layoff is the day they stop getting coverage for disability. That's important. You need to communicate that. Some carriers are saying, we're going to give you 31 days from the date of the layoff. You need to communicate that. And one says, we're going to go to the end of the following month, which you're laid off. So there's scenarios. I can't answer it with one, but those are the three that you're going to see. And again, that needs to be communicated. You need to arrange the cost share. You need to be clear on how you're going to collect the money. And that boils right down. This is our toolkit that we give our clients, is that, are you doing this as I'm taking 3 months of premium off your last check? Or am I asking for post-dated checks, if anybody's doing that in today's world? Or are we arranging e-transfer? And if any of those are happening, you need to know what happens if they don't pay you.
We have a question that just came in from Angie. So the question is, if you reduce hours down to 80%, for example, for employees, what benefits would be reduced?
You want to answer that one, Matt?
Go for it.
Oh,
I'm still doing other things.
okay.
Sorry.
So you're saying if you reduce the hours down to 80%, what's going to happen is your disability benefits, if you have disability benefits, their benefit now is lower, right? Because now they went from a 40,000 income to whatever the number might be, 32,000. So you need to make those adjustments with the insurance company for them to account for the fact that their income has gone down. Should they get disabled, that's the benefit they'll get. The other benefits you can extend, and there's not going to be any change to them in terms of the benefits you currently have in place. But again, if you're making decisions to change or reduce coverage through this period of time, because you can do this temporarily and then ramp back up later, because it's really between you and your team and your company, what's the best decision from a financial position? That's important. From a moral, how are we going to keep supporting our team, because we know that this is important to them as well. So I hope that answers your question on that.
We've got another one. Let's keep you on the question roll here.
Okay.
If you lay off, an employer wants to continue benefits for all, are you saying the disability will not be covered if they get sick while laid off? From Jennifer.
Yes. If you lay off today and you've got the contract that says we're going to cover disability for 31 days, that's your window for the employee. If it goes past 31 days, they do not have disability insurance. If they go on claim during that time, their benefits won't stop. If they're on claim, the claim continues. That's important to know and to communicate to them. So that's why we're encouraging, if you're in a position, because what's going to happen, you're in a position, if you made that, and that's a big step, and that's huge for the employers that are able to do that. If you made a decision that you're offering the extended benefits and you've arranged your pay situation so that you don't want to be babysitters to getting checks and things like that, you can be very clear on that. But if you've made a decision to extend, I would want you to encourage the employees to keep the coverage that they have, because people don't realize if something happens in between all this, they don't have any insurance coverage. But that said, if you've got an employee that says, I don't want the coverage, our toolkit has a sign-off letter. You need to protect yourself. So you need to make sure that it's very clear, Jane, if that's the situation, all benefits cease, you are not covered at a point in time until you come back to work. And again, we can help you with that. We've got some drafted letters. We have a fair amount of templates that we are utilizing right now for our team, our clients, and some things obviously have to be modified in terms of how you want to be working it from your end. Premium payments. Is there any questions? Is life insurance also impacted with the layoff? Life insurance, you'll get extension, typically met at 6 months on a life insurance.
Matches health and dental.
So what we're really trying to worry about, what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 months, Even though carriers will say, you can go 6 months, you can go a year, everybody's kind of worried what's happening in this very moment. So you'll have an extension of life insurance benefits if the employees choose to continue to pay their share of the premium, if that's what your decision is going to be. And they have an extension of health and dental if you're keeping those benefits intact as well. If an employee has no symptoms and wants to stay home, would you issue?
What kind of ROE would be issued to allow them to?
I'm not the HR gal, and that's our partners. We've got, a fair amount of partners that we work with, but what I do know is that there's a box that you're going to click, and it's going to say short-term, you lay off due to short-term shortage of work on that. Does that answer your question, I hope? Premium payments. What happens if I can't pay my bill next month? I'm going to tell you that the insurance companies are all working together, and they really want to make this work. So I'm not able to give definitive, and neither are the insurance companies, because every 24 hours we get updates. But what I can tell you right now is most all of our insurance companies are telling us that we're not going to cut your benefits off if you're going to be unable to pay us on that day that we require payment. Most of them are saying we'll allow you a 30-day extension on the ability to pay. If it goes beyond that, a couple of carriers are going 60, but again, that is a changing thing. That's where we've been logging all this information on a spreadsheet, and then every day we look at what has changed and we update that. But I would say for the most of you, 30 days is what you want to be thinking about in order to pay your bill. And then we'll see what the rest of the news tells us. Question, if an employee has no symptoms, no, we did that one, sorry. If an employee has no symptoms and wants to stay home, are they both not the same?
Yeah, and if it's not a result of shortage of work, they cannot will not work.
Oh, they can't.
They're choosing not to work.
They're choosing not to work. There's nothing we can do on the insurance side. It's an EI claim. You have to go that direction. That's their personal choice on that. So the question was, if they're choosing not to work, then they have to, and you can't, because you as the employer have to make some tough decisions, because some of my clients cannot set up remote. It's just not going to happen. Can you accommodate, do you have the capability to accommodate someone to work remote? And if that's the case, that's between you and the employee. And maybe that doesn't say it's going to be a full-time day. Maybe you can do this and accommodate a part day, but that's again for the other side, your employer, conversation with your employee.
Got another question from Denise Selby. We know you.
Hi, Denise.
So some providers are extending LTD up to 60 days on a layoff, but if employee is on a temporary layoff, is any claim in that period based on their EI income or their previous employment income?
Okay, so let me see. So some are extending 60 days. You and I can talk later, because the most I know on the long-term disability is if, for example, someone's laid off on the 3rd of March, you're going to get coverage to the end of April. So that's not quite 60 days, but it's close to. So maybe that's something on a contract that I have not come across. Maybe you can email me, Denise, and we can talk about that. But if they're on a temporary layoff, is any claim on that based on their EI income? Trying to sort this one out, Matt.
I mean, it would still go back to date of disability. And for if it's only long-term, there's still that waiting.
So if they're on EI and they have a disability claim, is that maybe what you're saying, Denise? If they're on EI and then they have a disability, then you're going to revert back over to the insurance company, and they'll be eligible for a benefit based on the definition or the terms under your contract for group insurance. So EI would probably stop, would it not, Matt?
I would think so.
Because you can't claim on both. So if they're on EI and it moves over to this side, then they're going to move over to the insurance company's responsibility. Here's the advantage in that individual's case is EI, as we all well know, it's 55% taxable. And their disability contracts, generally speaking, are going to be about 67% of the income, and it's tax-free. There's your difference. on that. So,
Why don't we go through a little bit more,
Let's-
then we'll
yeah.
tackle a few questions in a
Yeah,
bit here.
perfect.
We'll let them build up, then we can address them all
and
at
some of
once.
them might have to keep time for me because,
we got it.
and I don't know, Andrew, if this goes later, if people can still stay on, I'd leave that totally up to you guys. But anyways, premium payments. Yes, you can work with the insurance company. A lot of people are saying my renewal's coming up and I've already been told I have an increase. Am I going to have to pay the increase? And what we're hearing now is that they're going to, there's 3 have come in with now. There's most of them are saying we'll defer the renewal increase for a month and then it takes place. Some are saying 60 days and then it takes place. I have one association we work with that is only, it's very industry specific, and they've indicated that they're going to hold off on any increases until next year, 2021. Very generous. That's the only one. But the other ones are just saying we're deferring 30 to 60 days. That's what most of you need to keep in mind. Access to services. Now that we can't go anywhere, what are we going to do? So the one that came back to us very quickly was physiotherapy. I need to continue my treatment, and what are we going to do? So this is assuming that you've got people actively at work, benefits are in place, or you've done a layoff and you've extended benefits. If someone needs to get care, and the one area that's popping up most is, we would call it the paramedicals, your medical practitioners. That would be your chiropractor, physiotherapist, dietitian, naturopath, those kinds of things. They're indicating to us that they're accepting virtual care claims. There is no parameters. They anticipate that the price tag to get physio virtual is going to be the same as if you were in their office. But they're probably, if something gets a little bit out of line, I suspect they're going to go probably to what's reasonable and customary to manage that cost coming in. So that sounds great in theory, but you may be going to a physiotherapist and they don't have that capability to provide you virtual care. So where from there? So one thing that we're trying to do to maybe give our help back to our community and to our clients is we're getting a sense of the landscape out there, and we're talking to our partners on the wellness side and our clients to say, what can you do now that you can't have customers coming to you? What can you do on a virtual care model that I need to know, that I want to share with my suppliers, so that there is someone out there somewhere that can provide the care? And it may not be the practitioner that you want and are used to, but in a pinch, that's what you got to deal with that. The one benefit is going to be massage. There is no virtual care on massage. So in light of the fact that we see that being our most rising cost benefit under healthcare, maybe that's a good thing we take a pause of that for a while. And this is where we get into, everybody really practicing individually good wellness and well-being practices. And that means maybe you can't go see a massage therapist. You need to think about what you can do at home to better manage for that, rather than just doing nothing, right? There is tools and resources out there. Applications are coming to us all the time. We just had one of our partners, Motion Fitness, has indicated that they've got a virtual workout app. Download it, use it, right? And you're going to see a lot of these medical care practitioners come in with whatever their profession is. What can they do to execute the continuing care for you as an employee that you can share while you're going through this short-term crisis as well. The other thing we want to talk about is some of the things that we're seeing in terms of just what's out there for keeping our sanity and keeping the employee sanity. So there's some of you clients out there that have what's called telemedicine. So everything's about technology now. Telemedicine. If people are self-isolating, quarantined, or they just don't want to go to the grocery store, you have access potentially to a call line to a doctor, physician, to walk you through whatever your situation may be. If it's an illness, I need to refill my prescription, I just don't want to leave. What can I get done through you? There's going to be that availability. We've now we've gone fast track, and we are going to be providing an ability for people to access telemedicine. If you don't have it, we're going to provide that login capability through our website so that there will be a premium to it. But that said, people have to make a decision. I mean, for the few dollars it costs to have that peace of mind, we have the ability to provide you that benefit. Lumica is out there. Some of you may have already seen that. Lumica is a local telemedicine, a Saskatchewan-based telemedicine company, and hats off to them because they have fast-tracked an agreement with the government, and they're able to provide free help. And everybody loves free help. So you can access Lumica if that is what you need in the interim of us getting things rolling. I also anticipate, it goes without saying, because we've all experienced the EI problems on getting through and getting help. If this is a service that's available to the public for free, I anticipate you're going to have probably delays on getting through. So a consideration, it may be worth the $9-10 to go online, purchase a package. You've got that coverage available to you. Totally up to you what you want to do. But again, that's part of community. Hats off to Lumica for doing that for us, for sure. The other thing that we're thinking is our suppliers are really trying to encourage, some things to stay well and get people, cognizant of their health. And I just want to do a couple shout outs because I know Blue Cross, which is the NSB benefit provider for members of the NSBA, for those who are. Blue Cross is really trying to encourage things in which you can be providing those things to your family. So push play is what it's called. So, they've always been encouraging in this, like we don't want people, because activities are done. So what are you going to do to keep your kids busy so that, I imagine that probably the business that's going to have an increase in sales is locks to bolt your children into closets. So we need to keep them busy. We need to keep them healthy. And something like the Push Play by Blue Cross is just an example of the things that you can be doing and encouraging your employees to be thinking about as well. Any other questions, you guys? Can I keep rolling?
We've got a few.
Okay.
It depends if you want to go through what you have. Answer the specific ones.
I have that one. Quick ones. Memberships. I know everybody's part to a membership, and I know one in particular, the large one. We're being told that benefits when we're part of a membership, if they can't pay their membership, some of our associations are saying that they're going to defer membership to keep benefits. Again, I don't know for you, depending on the association you're in, whether it fits. You can call us. We've got a pretty good sense of what's out there, and we can help you out with that. Please online. Do all your submissions, do all your work online. People are sending, information via mail. It's going to take a very long time. The quick, fast reaction to getting things and answers and checks online. Evaluate your policies. This is the time. Everybody's doing a lot of knee-jerk stuff right now, we're seeing. So what we're coming across, very common, is that we've been encouraging for many months and years that the importance of having a policy and procedure in place should things happen. We all learned that from the cannabis space. And so we're saying, if you haven't today, now's a good time to be thinking about that. And again, we work with the HR partners, and we've got those types of templates and those scenarios that we can share with our clients to make sure that as we in the benefit world needs to move into the policy and procedure world, we've got the templates that we can assist our clients with to make sure that they've covered all those things, what I would call don't get caught with your pants down, because a lot of it's happening right now and it's worrisome. So what we're going to hope that when all the dust settles, that none of our clients have made some mistakes along the way, because that's what we don't want. So I encourage you to do that. And that's probably all I have. So I'm going to stop. I want to get a couple of questions.
We've got a list of them here.
Ooh,
and
yo.
We'll try and be not too specific to everyone's scenario. We'll try to be a bit broad because we know, 99% of the people listening, this isn't a question maybe specific to your scenario.
I see Kim's. Can I join?
Go through the topic.
Okay.
Some of them kind of build on each other.
If an employee it has been recommended by their physician not to be at work for health reasons, would that be a disability claim under health benefits? Because they're a high risk is what you're telling me. If they're a high risk, it's going to be an EI claim. because they haven't medically qualified based on the definition of disability. The next question, if an employee has holidays accrued, can it be imposed that they take those days prior to layoff? That I think is an employee conversation, EI. I don't know if anybody wants to, I believe that that's your ability to do that. That if there's holidays, use them first and then go to the layoff. I would sense that. I can't say that for certain. It's not our area of expertise. I'm sorry. If an employee is already on long-term disability and everybody else is laid off, does that affect the long-term disability? No. Anybody who's currently got a claim in for a disability, nothing will happen to them. As long as they satisfy the definition of disability, their claim will continue. So please let them know that. Okay, okay, Denise, you're saying, I think Denise is asking what the income would be based on someone who's on EI, then becomes sick and wants to apply for disability. If they have to report their income to go on disability, is it based on their income pre-EI? Oh, there's a good question, Denise. I don't know, Matt. I have to, you know what? I'm going to take a stab at it, but I don't think we should. I will email you that, and we're going to have a gathering again next Thursday, same time. We're going to do a live update, and either or I'm going to have this answered. I'll have this to you, Denise, for sure. We'll probably share this out just by our social media. We could do that too. But I don't know how the two work together, because now you're on EI. That's a really good question. Sorry, just because of time, I have to move on.
This one's from Eric. We know Eric from Humboldt.
Hi, Eric. Hi, what about group insurance coverage for travel? Yeah, we answered that, Eric. We said if you are in a business where you are an essential service and you're traveling across borderlines, the coverage is still intact. Next question. Oh, Dana, yes, you can. Oh, someone asked, hey, Shanda. So someone answered the question is,
There's the next question.
okay, very good. Do you recommend removing dental benefits? Well, I guess my common sense it says, probably, maybe, but if there's an emergency service, a requirement, just keep in mind you don't have coverage for those people, right? And we have those. I know that I've seen that where all of a sudden, like, you got like a big problem with your tooth. So you have to make that call because you're there to make a decision for the group, but you also have to be thinking about those what ifs, right? Do you have any, okay, Adrian, do you have any info for the newly created CERB program?
That's $2,000.
That's the 2000.
Oh, okay, gotcha. You know what? I just got the update as quick as you guys got the update that, I mean, obviously the overload has already spoken loud and clear with the, EI services. And yeah, we'll send that out because we've got a newsletter that we're putting together that is going to have some of these updates, and our goal is to have it out in the next 48 hours. And we'll be including the updated link on that because we've already in our last Friday newsletter, we addressed this and then we just put the link. So to keep current, but from what I'm hearing is that if you haven't done the EI route yet, you go to the emergency side, call it that, and but they can't start working on this till April. And then they're allowing for $2,000, up to $2,000 for 4 months. And then of course, there's a business subsidy that's different than this, but included. Where are we? Do all your employees have to choose the same coverage? Or can coverage change? No. If you have to make everything on a decision as a group. So if someone says to you, you made a decision, you're holding all benefits, they need to go with that. They can't decide which benefits they want to pick and choose. You can't do that. What they can do, and I refer back to that in the layoff, if they're choosing not to take the coverage, even though you're offering, you might want to encourage, but if they're choosing not to take the coverage, you just need to ensure you get something signed and put into the file on that. Are some set up as emergency, dental emergency. Our dentist offices, maybe, is that what you're asking, Jennifer? Okay. Choice bank, got it. Okay, next question.
That's it.
Wow, we're doing okay. I know there's lots more out there. I mean, I encourage you to reach out to us, email us, or phone us again, because we're with you. Things are changing very, very quickly. And as soon as we get those updates, we're going to put them into a newsletter format. We're going to have our live update next week. And we're working remote. Our office is full operational. As you can appreciate, for those who've had to go that direction, it certainly presents some craziness, but we're working through it and we're there to help you. That's the biggest thing. We want to know that in times like today, what can we do to help take some of those stresses off your desk? So
We have another quick
we have one
question,
question.
from Tamara Bowman.
Okay.
What do you recommend when it comes to extended health? Most services are closed, so there might be some complaints about paying for premiums during this time.
It's a tricky one, Tamara. It's a decision you have to make. I had just chatted briefly about, because everybody's fast tracking. And I really believe that there's going to be the availability. I don't know, can I throw a number? You know, it's 70%, 60% of what you have in your healthcare benefit is still going to be intact. The big one that's being affected is really just the paramedical, your medical practitioner. So it's your dietitian, naturopath, chiropractor, psychologist. The exception that's not at this time, massage, of course, unless they're doing some virtual app that they've come up with, and that's for them to figure that out. But physio and psychologist are kind of the two big ones people are asking about. Now, a lot of the providers out there may not have that capability, but I'm here to tell you they're all working on it. And as we get that information, we'll float that back to you so that you know where you can go in case of. Oh, okay. If we did not receive the newsletter, can we request this to be set up separately?
Sent to us.
Sent us separately?
Yeah.
Send us an email and we'll get you on the list, right?
Yep, send it to deb.wiegers@wiegers.ca and we'll make sure you get on the list if you're not one of our clients at the moment.
Yeah. The other thing too is if you go to our website, we have a general information line that is watched daily. So like a website, email address. So you can email there too. So you can go to our website, because a lot of the information we're talking about today is going to be on our website, is going to be on our Facebook and things like that. So you can always connect with us there. If an emergency benefit different than just applying for EI because of layoff, is it different? I don't think it is. I think it's just they've set up, I know I'm talking very simplistic, they've set up another department that can manage the bottleneck that's happening on EI. So if you haven't gone to the EI route, you should go here. And then what they're promising is that you're going to get that level of care or service sooner. And they have indicated for all of us to see that checks will be in the mail within a few weeks. I don't think anybody can answer that question right now, not even Trudeau. So, okay, I have a question. And there's Mike. Mike from Blue Cars. Hi, Michael.
Blue Cross.
Blue
Blue Cross. I see no Blue Cross. See, I've had so much in my head
He's working
lately.
his way up the chain.
Okay, so how can EFP services, AP services assist employees and their families during this difficult time? Great point. I hope, and we've always encouraged, and now more than ever, when things get back to normal, we don't know what it is, we're really, really going to encourage that everybody reach out and think about an employee assistance program. For those who have one, they have still the capability to talk. There's going to be a lot of anxiety going on right now. A lot of stress levels are here. So they want to be there to assist. So you need to reach out to your EAP services. Continue as an employer to provide that communication to your employees and to encourage them to go to the EAP site and just walk through what some of the other services and capabilities. I know our EAP provider has now implemented a workout wellness app, and I can access that through my EAP program. So depending on your EAP program, those are the kind of tools and resources that you might have access to and your employees. I think
Looks like
that's
all the
it.
questions.
I think that's it. I'm sure a lot of you are probably thinking as you click off that you'll have another question. I'm going to hold tight.
If we missed your question because there's a lot that came in at once, we're just going to clear the thing. And if you had not gotten an answer, please type the question in now. Otherwise, Deb, I can kind of leave it to you to wrap things up.
I've got Renee here on the retirement as we're doing that, the retirement side. I know maybe Renee can just do like without getting in anything, because that's going to be the next big wave that we're seeing now is what do I do with my retirement program? So maybe Renee, I'm going to move aside and you're just going to just give them a real ramble on that.
It's interesting when we think about what triggers a market correction, and it is always an event that will trigger a market correction. We think back to 9/11, we think back to past viruses, whether it was SARS, whether it was the first coronavirus back in 2013. So look at your portfolio. Please reach out to us if you have any questions about where you are allocated right now. Now is not the time to make any rash decisions. And a lot of times if your portfolio has been diversified, we hear that word a lot, but when we look at all asset classes, when we think about where people are spending their money right now, they're not going to be spending their money in the discretionary areas. They're going to be tapping into consumer staples. So you think about it, that's your store brand products. All the stuff that we know is off the shelves right now. So please reach out to us as well as our website at any time. We're here to help, and we're always here to educate and inform.
And I'm going to ask the question because I guess the one that I'm getting, Renee, is can I put a temporary pause on deposits?
Yeah, for those of you who do sponsor group retirement savings plans, absolutely. You can suspend your contributions at any time. CRA has very specific language as it pertains to business profitability. And you can't disperse profits into a deferred profit sharing plan in periods of time when the company is not profitable. Please reach out to us if you have any questions about that.
Okay.
One more question.
One last question was just to reconfirm the virtual MD coverage. So I'm thinking you're asking about telemedicine. I've got an app. Most telemedicines are going to be app driven. So I've got an app where I've just set up my login and password. And that's what we're in the process of doing as an extension to all our clients who don't currently have access to that. But it basically says that you've got the capability to talk. You set up your app. It's very simple. I'm giving you the simple version, but once you log in, you have a profile. You're going to be going, I'd like to talk to a doctor. And they'll say, what's your situation? And you'll go, here's my situation. What time do you want us to call? Would you want FaceTime? Or do you want us to call you at a certain time of the day? And you have this conversation and you can nail it down to, can you please call me between 10 and 12? And then there'll be doctors available by virtue of the provider that you're working with. They've got relationships with other doctors. I ask all the time, I know there's a doctor, there's probably many, but I know there's a doctor in Stonebridge that is part of our virtual telemedicine product. So they're going to help you through some of those things that they can do. Now, keep in mind, they can't do it all because they definitely cannot be, providing prescriptions for opioids. That's not going to happen. And if it's something much more chronic, they can't help you. There is a fairly robust overview of the things and services they can provide you by doing it telemedicine. So I hope that answers your question. And if you have a question on, providers or what's available, you can reach out to me at our website.
And if we get a bunch of questions throughout the week, we'll kind of combine them. I mean, obviously we'll answer you, but we'll combine them for our live updates sort of next week, or we'll put them into newsletters of some common themes that we're seeing.
Yes, that's where it's waves. So we've kind of gone through 3-4 waves. Now we're anticipating the next wave. I'm going to be very, very hopeful that we're not hearing too many more stories about quarantine, because we've had to deal with a client who's had to shut their office down because of quarantine. So that's what's created that next wave of what do I do with these people? So, whew, a lot said. I know. Thank you very much, everybody. You know what? We're here to help. And what I really want to say is everybody stay healthy, stay safe, but most important, stay optimistic. We're going to get through this together. We need to support each other in this community because that's what this is all about right now. And that's all we can do. So stay healthy, stay safe, stay optimistic. And I want to say a huge shout out to the NSBA for allowing us the opportunity to share with you out there because in these trying times, I mean, even when we're doing things like layoffs, it's just not enough for us to say, call the carrier. We're trying to eliminate some of these steps for our clients so that their stress levels are going down because there's lots of other things happening as they're trying to muddle through the day-to-day stuff as well. So I think that was it. Yes. Thank you, NSBA. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day, and we'll be in touch.